What if there were one thing your company could do to create an instant emotional connection with your customers? Would you do it? If so, you might want to consider the next frontier in branding, scent science. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Plain English. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and this is episode 173 of Plain English, and you can find the full episode resources online at plainenglish.com/173. And by the way, if you tried to access the website over the weekend and found it was down, I do apologize for that. We had a little bit of a snafu, but we're back in action, up and running again, and the website is actually a lot faster than it has been in a long time. So if you've ever been frustrated with the speed of the website, as I have been, then I think you'll be pleasantly surprised the next time you log on. Okay, coming up on today's episode, scent science, how hotels, shops, and other brands are using fragrances to create connections with their customers. But first, have you tried reading an ebook on the Kindle app? Maybe you've heard of ebooks before, but never tried them. It's really easy. You download the Amazon Kindle app onto your phone, and you're ready to go. The good part about it is that you can load a dictionary from English to your language right inside the app. And you can also use Google Translate and Wikipedia, all without having to leave the Kindle app. It's a powerful tool for anyone reading books in a new language. If you haven't tried it yet, you can download the app by visiting plainenglish.com/read. Studies have shown that scents in the workplace can reduce typos by office workers. In a shop, they can improve consumers' perception of product quality, get them to spend more in a store, even pay more for goods on the shelf. But that's nothing in comparison to the real benefit of so-called scent branding, and that is creating a true emotional connection with consumers. There's something about scent, isn't there, that triggers emotions. Of all your 5 senses, smell is the only one that is fully developed at birth. It's connected directly to the parts of your brain that process emotion and memory. And this is really true, and I can tell you there are a couple of scents in this world that just take me back somewhere. This is a funny example, but when I was about 12 years old, I went on a school trip to Italy. About 10 of us went, and we each stayed with host families in Genoa. And the house I stayed in had a very particular smell. It was just very unique. It's not bad, it's not good, and I couldn't even describe it. It might have been the perfume that the mother was wearing or cleaning supplies they used. I have no idea. But once every, 5 years, I'll be somewhere and I'll smell that exact scent, and I'll stop whatever I'm doing and I'll think of my time in Genoa. Even everyday scents can trigger powerful emotions. Freshly cut grass, for example, makes me think of the baseball fields I used to play on as a kid. Every time I smell a wet dog, it reminds me of the golden retrievers we had in our family growing up. Now, I love looking at dog pictures as much as anyone, but looking at a picture doesn't bring me back the way smelling a wet dog does. New car smell is something famous, right? Everyone loves the scent of a new car. As one article said, the nose is the fastest way to the heart. And now businesses, such as hotels and shops, are latching onto that connection. Call it the next frontier in branding. Those businesses know that recognizing a scent can bring us back to a time or place and create strong associations in our mind. So they're developing their own scents in the hopes that you'll always associate a given fragrance with their brand and with the good experiences that you have there. This is a popular strategy among luxury hotels, such as the Mandarin Oriental and the Viceroy, but it's also popular among more mainstream hotels too. Hyatt is an international hotel chain, and they use a scent called Seamless in their mid-tier Hyatt Place branded hotels. They've been using it since 2007, and it's now required in all Hyatt Place hotels. Some hotels are even selling candles with their branded scents in them, in an ingenious way to get their branding right into your home. You probably don't see employees discreetly spraying perfume in hotel lobbies and retail shops. That's because of recent innovations in electronic scent diffusers that can make sure just the right level of a given scent is in the air at any one time. How are these scents developed? Well, a company brings in, of course, a team of experts. They can be interior designers, marketing experts, psychologists, and perfume experts to craft exactly the right formula that captures a brand's identity. Brands have to be careful not to overdo it, especially in hotels. Restaurant guests typically don't want to smell fragrances, so you need to keep the fragrance mild if you're going to use it near the hotel restaurant. And you don't want anything too strong, since some people are just sensitive to smell. The sweet spot is to have a fragrance that people recognize subliminally, just enough to trigger the emotion, not so much to overpower your senses. Done right, scent can pull together the experience and create memories that literally last for a lifetime, whether you know it or not. What other industries are using scent in their branding? Retailers, fitness chains, airlines, doctors' offices, even fertilizer companies. That's right, the landscaper that comes to your house might be using fertilizer that's scented to induce brand loyalty. I was just thinking about other scents that really take me back to a time or a place. The Courtyard Marriott Gurgaon in India has a very unique scent. I've stayed there each time I was in India, and I will never forget that scent. To me, that fragrance means home in India. There isn't another hotel in the world that I think I'd recognize the scent of, but I'd recognize that scent for the rest of my life. Also, my grandmother's house, she used to put these cedar chips or cedar blocks in the drawers of her closets and dressers to keep clothes smelling fresh. And that's another scent that always takes me back in time. Couple hellos today. Marcos, a software developer from Minas Gerais, Brazil, uses English at work and listens to plain English during his commute. He and I were both waging separate battles against WordPress when we corresponded the other day. And Neem from Israel is taking the plunge. He's moving with his family to New York City, so he was entertained by my stories of apartment hunting in New York from a few episodes ago. Good luck, Neem. You'll like being in the Big Apple, even if you have to make some sacrifices on the home front. I mentioned before about reading on your Kindle app. When I first started reading books in Spanish, I got some books for kids or teenagers, hard copies of these books. And it was so frustrating because every time I saw a word I didn't know, I'd have to stop, pull out my phone or computer, look up the word, then go back to where I was in the book. It totally killed the momentum. And I never finished even a single paper copy book in Spanish reading that way. Not even one. But then I noticed inside my Kindle app on my iPad, you can highlight a word and it will look that word up in the dictionary automatically. And, even better, I could load a Spanish-English dictionary right onto my iPad, and voila, I had a Spanish-English dictionary right inside my reading app, and I still use it. So now, looking up unfamiliar words just takes a single tap, and I don't have to leave the app. I don't have to break my concentration. If you haven't tried reading ebooks on a Kindle yet, try the app for iPhone, iPad, or Android. You can get any of those by going to plainenglish.com/read. Do we ever have a good expression today to latch on to something? This is a really good one. It's very common. To latch on to something is to become attached to something. You are usually doing it enthusiastically. Hotels are latching onto the idea that scents create a powerful emotional connection with their guests. Hotels are enthusiastically embracing this idea. They are taking up this idea, becoming attached to it. They're grabbing onto it, and they're not letting go. A lot of companies have latched onto the idea that the best design for offices is low walls or no walls, no privacy, open space everywhere. The firm I work for in my day job has latched onto that idea, as have many other companies around the world. The days of private offices and tall walls and nooks and crannies and stuff, that's all gone because most companies have latched onto this new design trend in office space. The companies have become attached to this new design trend, and they're not letting go. Individuals can latch onto things. I think we all know people who latch onto the latest trends in dieting or fitness, right? I have two coworkers who have latched onto intermittent fasting. That's when you don't eat for 16 hours a day. You fit all your meals into 8 hours. Other people might latch onto the latest tech gadgets or tech trends. I remember listening to a business podcast a few years ago. This is funny. The podcast was really good. It was extremely helpful. as I was setting up Plain English. But the host had a habit of latching onto the latest apps and things and trying to use them for business. So he would always get really enthusiastic about the latest thing. And I was listening to one episode, and the host said that for podcasters, the best new app for communicating with listeners was Snapchat. And I was incredulous. I could not believe it. First of all, I think Snapchat has quite possibly the worst user experience in an app that I've ever encountered. But more important than that, why would you want to communicate with your audience in an app where all your previous messages disappear? Now, I can see big brands, maybe they want to advertise or something. And I'm not saying Snapchat isn't any good or it's not popular. None of that. I'm just saying in terms of a small business, a podcaster, which he was, which I am now, communicating with listeners, I just thought Snapchat was quite possibly the worst app I've ever seen for that purpose. But this podcaster latched onto it. He would not stop talking about Snapchat. He eventually dumped it, though. He came to his senses. All right, it's Thursday, so we have a song of the week from our trusty, loyal producer, JR. This week, he chose the song Zombie by the Irish band The Cranberries. It's one of their two most recognizable songs. It was written after two small children were killed by bomb attacks in England in the early 1990s. It won Best Song at the MTV Europe Awards the next year. JR notes that this is a tough one to sing karaoke to. Not sure how he knows that. Can ask him maybe. You probably recognize it. Zombie by the Cranberries is the song of the week. If you'd like to nominate a song for a future episode, please email your selection to jr@plainenglish.com. You know, I've been dropping hints about the big project JR and I are working on. I'm still not authorized to say what the project is, but I will say this. We are not developing our own fragrance. That is not the project. So if you were thinking after listening to this episode that there was going to be a plain English scent, if you got your hopes up, unfortunately, that's not the big announcement. But if you want to be the first to know what it is when we are ready to talk about it, then you will want to be on our email list. You can join by going to plainenglish.com/mail, M-A-I-L, and entering your details. If you do that, you'll also get JR's emails with additional free resources for every episode. Oh, here's a piece of news. A bunch of you have requested another episode about a travel destination. Your wish is my command. Monday will feature the third in our occasional series on destinations in the English-speaking world. And whatever city you think I'm going to do, it's something else. I guarantee it. But you'll like it. That's coming up Monday on Plain English. Don't miss it. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then you'll love Plain English Plus. That's because with Plain English Plus, you can get even more from your favorite English podcast. We offer video lessons, flashcards, 2 versions of every episode, and of course, our famous online transcripts with translations into 7 languages. What are you waiting for? Come join us at plainenglish.com/plus.